Imagine if any of us could jump into a time machine and go to the year 1988 and land in any town in India on a Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m. You'd find the streets quite empty and most people would be huddled inside their living rooms in front of their television sets. Now, funnily, if you strolled into a railway station, you know what you'd see? Completely empty trains and a large crowd seated on the railway platform, all craning their necks to see that sole television set mounted on the platform. In fact, the story goes that the then President of India, Gyani Zail Singh, had a visitor, a foreign diplomat, who had come to meet him at 10 a.m. on a Sunday morning. The diplomat had to wait till 10:30 a.m. until the president's favorite TV show was over. Another story goes that an Indian bride rushed into her own wedding a little late because she too did not want to miss her favorite TV show on a Sunday morning. What TV show am I talking about? A show that captured the imagination of practically all of India. This was the TV show Ramayana. During its run, the Ramayana was the most watched television series in the entire world, and the repeat telecast was aired on 20 different channels in 17 countries on all 5 continents at different points in time. And India's space journey had something to do with it. Let's find out how. Hi, this is Sangeeta, the host of this podcast channel, What's New Today, a podcast channel for families about current events shaping our world. And joining me on this episode to chat about today's story are 2 curious children.
Hi there, I am Saatvik. I am 9 years old. I study in 4th grade, Children's Academy, Thakur Complex, Mumbai, India.
I'm Ria. I'm 12 years old. I study in the 8th grade at Dean's Academy, Bangalore.
Hi Saatvik and Ria. It's wonderful to have both of you back on this show. Many of our listeners must have met you in the first part of this podcast series. Nevertheless, welcome back. I know I started this episode with a story about a TV show called the Ramayana. But before the Ramayana could have become a reality, there were 2 very big revolutions that happened through experiments done as part of our space journey. In this episode, we'll cover the first experiment. In the next episode, I'll tell you about another very interesting experiment. But to start today's story, we go back to the 1960s and enter the corridors of the Space Agency of the United States, which we all know as NASA. The United States was very keen on a collaboration program with many countries in the world, and they offered any country which wanted to benefit from a program to write to them. So if you as a country, if you wanted to use the satellites launched by NASA, and if you gave them the program that you're creating, the NASA satellite would carry it and it would beam it onto television sets. In those days, television sets used to get the signal using something called an ulti chhatri on the terraces.
Yeah, my parents used to tell me about it. It was a satellite dish. So it was like a bowl-shaped thing and it had a small antenna sticking out of it.
Ma'am, I saw it in my grandparents' house. It literally means ulta chhatri because it's looking like an inverted umbrella, but only it absorbs the radio messages coming from the satellite.
Just like what both of you described, in the earliest days, when television sets had to get their signals, every terrace would have one ulti chhatri. In my own childhood days, I remember that sometimes when the TV signals would be a little blurred, we would all get one sound and all kinds of colors on the TV screen. So my sister and I, one of us would run up and then we'll keep turning that tiny little antenna stuck on the satellite. From the terrace, one of us would scream down and say, is the picture now all right? Are you able to see the TV? And then the moment my sister would scream that it's all fine, then we would keep the antenna in that plays and we would run back and watch TV. Of course, today things have changed. We no longer have ulta chhatris to go and reorient in bad weather or good weather. But the time I'm talking about, India did not even have television sets. Most of the television sets were in and around Delhi only because Doordarshan had its office there. It used to beam from that office. That was the condition in India, at which point Vikram Sarabhai wrote to NASA, I would love to be a part of this. India would like to use educational content. So then Vikram Sarabhai had a very, very tough task. How is he going to get these television sets to large parts of India? Because you can't just do an experiment on educational content with some 500 households in Delhi around. So they first went to a lot of villages across many states in India. Not all states, they chose a bunch of states. They went to many villages there and they convinced the people in the village that, you know what, y'all should watch TV. They're like, what is this television business? They've not even heard of a television. They've never seen a screen. All that they've had is a radio. And then they said that every day between this time and this time, all of you villagers can assemble at a location where you all can watch this TV. So when they bought all these TVs and delivered them to these villages, where do you think they kept a TV? There was only one TV per village. Where do you think they would have kept it?
I think they would have kept it in the center of the village.
Under a tree?
No, center of the village, so that everyone
Hmm.
can gather there.
But what would that center of the village be? It'd be an open field.
No.
No, it might be like how in villages they have a tree and there is a sitting area. They could put a TV there.
And the
Yeah.
panchayat meeting point is what you thought.
Yeah.
But then मौसम खराब हो गया if there are winds, if
Maybe
there
a
are
house in the village, like the village leader's house or something like that.
that was the second, no, that might have been the third choice. But what may have been the first choice? I think you need a building, Saatvik. Let's try to find a name. Which building would have been the most appropriate? It's very easy for both of you to guess. What kind of buildings will be there in a village?
There will be huts.
Okay,
Huts, and then where we keep the cows, the cattle.
right. Or cow sheds will be there. Okay, what else?
Food storage warehouses.
Also, I think there is a man called Sarpanch. He has a very big hut in the village, so they could put it there.
Yeah, possible. Another important thing that every village would have had. Okay, hint, children.
School.
Yes. It was in the village school that they used to go, that they went and kept all the television sets. And they told all the villagers that there is a certain time at which all of you can come and watch this program that we are going to beam. And they also gave the sarpanch of the village a small postcard. So those days there were no telephones in which they would write all the dates of that particular month. And they left him with postcards probably for a few months. They said every day you're able to see something on the TV, you put a tick, and the days you get nothing on the TV, right? You put a cross on those dates. At the end of the month, you please post those cards to us. That is how they were able to check whether a program was working or not using postcards. Wow! Now, the villagers used to assemble at a certain predetermined time and they found the programs very helpful in their lives. What may have this program been about?
I think it might be most of news, like if there is any flood coming or a storm coming, they can prepare it. Or if, like, suppose Chandrayaan 3, many people got to know and they got excited. So that can also be the cause.
And India winning a World Cup.
Yeah, in the cricket, of course.
And maybe changes in different industries.
Both of you are a little ahead of your time, maybe. The name of the show is Krishi Darshan, which is still the longest running show. Krishi Darshan is about interesting and useful farming and agricultural tips and about livestock rearing. how they could increase the yield in their farms, where could they go and sell their stock to get better prices, how they had to take care of their cows or their goats and whatever else the livestock that they had. So that was the program that Vikram Sarabhai was able to launch in the 1960s, and you can still find Krishi Darshan on DD National. Do you know such a channel called DD National exists?
Yeah, I saw it. It comes in something red font, right? DD National, like that.
I don't know. Frankly, I haven't seen it also in more than a couple of decades. Are you able to see the link between the space program and getting more food?
Yeah, I can see some links.
Yeah, they're learning more about the agriculture through these space programs because they're being broadcasted. So they're able to yield more food, and as a result, Indians get more food.
But Dr. Vikram Sarabhai was one of the brains behind Krishi Darshan, India's longest running TV show. The collaboration with NASA finally happened after Dr. Sarabhai's death. Nevertheless, it was a great proof that Dr. Sarabhai's vision that India's space journey was going to bring a lot of difference to the lives of the average man living in villages and towns across India. This was the first step in making TV broadcasting a reality for India. There was one more interesting event that happened, which is what brought color television into our homes. To find out more about that, join me in our next episode. In the course of my research for this episode, I found two photographs quite interesting. One is the screenshot of the Indian Express newspaper, and the front page carries a title, Education by Satellite, a unique experiment starts today. The second is a photograph of a large group of people seated on the playground of a school, and a television set is kept in front of them on a dais of the school, and a big ulti chhatri behind them. For those of you who don't speak Hindi, the word chhatri means an umbrella. So this ulti chhatri is almost the size of a mid-sized tree, and the audience on the playground is a mix of elders as well as little school children. The stories and the information related to the SITE experiment for this episode was sourced from a UNESCO report authored by Kiran Karnik and Romesh Chandar. To find out more, join me in our next episode.